What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's reaction video is 5 US states with way colder winters than Britain. You ready for this?
I feel like loads of them have way colder winters.
Yeah, I feel like if this were a video at the start of our reaction, I guess, career, if you could call it, or our journey into reactions, we'd be like, nah, Britain's freezing. No chance.
It still is freezing.
But now we know it's going to be. There's a lot more than 5 states in there.
Surely there is.
I think there is. And it's ridiculous how cold it gets, especially some of the temperatures we had this Christmas. We hope you guys were all safe and sound in that. Britain's actually quite mild compared.
It is, but it's still horrid.
Which is weird to say because we always moan about the weather.
I think it's not so much the cold, is it? It's more the fact that it rains all the time. It's just we don't see the sun much. I don't think it's to do much with how cold it is.
I think that, yeah.
I think we get our fair share of warm
I think
weather.
Brits just like to moan about the weather, don't we?
It's just in our nature.
Smash the like button, guys. Smash that subscribe button. Let's check out 5 US states way colder than Britain winters. And I reckon Wisconsin will be one of them. Have a guess.
New York will be.
And you reckon New York will be a great shout as well? Oh, Alaska. Alaska doesn't count, though. That just beats everyone. I think. I don't know.
It's a US state.
Let's go.
8.3 degrees Fahrenheit is 24 degrees colder than Scotland's average. Scotland being the coldest country in the United Kingdom. And these are averages. This is mental.
Yeah, that's a lot colder than us.
Hello, I'm Lawrence, and
shorts.
I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those pertains to the weather, specifically the temperature, especially at this time of year when it's bloody cold here in America. And of course, I've talked about this a lot on this channel. It is freezing in the United States, specifically in the northern portion of it at this time of year. But growing up in England, I had my doubts about that. I watched a lot of American television, assumed that everywhere was palm trees and beaches, and thought, yes, I want to move there at some point in my life. This place, England, is freezing. Well, let's take a look at the facts on that, because it's not strictly true. Now, granted, of course, there are times when Britain really does get down to the point of freezing. It's not a particularly common occurrence. It will happen now and again. Indeed, if you were to look at the statistics on this, if you were to look at the data from 1981 to 2010, as I did, you'll find that during the months of December, January, February, and March, which we sort of consider winter quite loosely in terms of this, that in terms of its average low temperatures, did average about freezing exactly. So 0 degrees C or, 33 degrees.
And at the start, he'll get into it. He said minus 24 in Scotland. So it's going to be minus 24 degrees Celsius. We can't even hack 0.
No.
That is mental.
But then it's what you adapt to, isn't it?
It is to do with climate
because it is all about that, because minus 25 is obviously freezing. But that doesn't make that any less freezing.
No, it doesn't.
No, but like in terms of climatization, it's not, because if we go to California, and they say 25 degrees Celsius is mild for them, that is scorching for us.
Yes. No.
So if it works that way, go work the other way.
You definitely climatize an area, and you get used to a temperature.
Like we would die at minus 25 degrees.
Oh, we would, but it is definitely colder. You can't say it's not colder.
Well, no, it is, but does it make 0 degrees for us? Does it make us any less cold?
No, because it's the coldest we get, so we're used to it being cold.
Yeah. So really, it's like,
I get what you're saying. I don't know if it's the right way to say it, but I get what you're saying. I don't know how to say it. But...
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I'm not saying.
What are you saying?
It's not. I'm not saying that. I'm trying to get it across. I'm not saying that minus 25 is warmer than 0. I know that it's colder. I get that, but what I'm saying is, those people that are in minus 25 and us in 0 probably feel the same way, because it's what we're climatized to. If 0 for them isn't cold.
I'm just I do what you meant from minute 1. It's just climatized. It's just
but I know
it's
they're
hard to
come for me. I know they are. So I'm just making sure I cover all bases.
Let us know in the comments. Don't
let us know in the comments.
We just had the same conversation 5 times.
But that's Scotland. That's the coldest country in Britain. What about my homeland of England? Well, in that very same time, by the very same metric, England sort of averaged around about 34 degrees Fahrenheit, 35 degrees Fahrenheit. And that, of course, is about 1.5 Celsius above freezing. So that's the low average. Right? That's not the average, and it's not the high average. So on the whole, you're not really expecting to see Britain reach the point of freezing or even go beyond it. That doesn't mean it doesn't go beyond it or beneath it at any point. Of course, it has in history. The lowest recorded temperature in history happened in Scotland. No surprise there. No surprise indeed that it happened in Aberdeenshire in Scotland, and the temperature got down to minus 17 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, wow.
So that's minus 27 degrees
That is
Celsius.
a lot.
That
Don't
to
give me
us
that.
is cold. I mean, I think that is to people here is quite cold. Similarly, the coldest temperature in English history was minus 15 degrees Fahrenheit.
that's
Again,
freezing.
completely unfit for humans. Nobody should be walking around
Yeah,
in them.
don't. It's
But,
disgusting.
you know,
that.
I've come to find since moving here, and this is a warning, by the way, to any British people that are also thinking of moving to the northern portion of the United States, it gets way colder than it does in Britain. Now, a bit
Yeah,
of
I prefer the
backstory for
warm.
those of you that don't know. I left the United Kingdom about 11 years ago and moved to America's Midwest, specifically to a state called Indiana. Indiana is pretty cold. It's certainly colder on average during winter than Great Britain, but it doesn't even come close to rivaling the 5 states that we have on this list today, which, to be fair, are not even fit for tardigrades. And the same goes for
What's that?
Chicago
I don't
too.
know.
This place gets even colder than Indianapolis. I mean, astronomical. You may have seen my video last year during the polar vortex. I almost froze to death. I didn't. That's a lie. I was inside. I spoke a moment ago about the astronomically low temperature set in Scotland of 17 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, hold on to your hats, because the lowest ever recorded in Chicago was at O'Hare Airport, and it was minus 27 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 33 degrees Celsius below zero.
boy.
That's why I've got this coat. You know, I mean, I shouldn't really be wearing it inside. This is a studio, but you suffer for your art. And so this video is really for 2 types of people, I suppose. It's for people from Britain, like me, that are thinking of moving over to the northern United States. And it's also for people that live in colder places than Chicago and just want to gloat after all these years of me talking about
So
how
basically,
bad
I'm
it is
going to
here.
California to
It's-
live.
Yeah, I can't live in a cold place. I love the heat too much.
I like going to a cold place. Like when we went to New York, it was colder than the UK.
Yeah.
But I like that. But I was happy to get back.
Yeah, I've got Raynaud's, so cold is not a nice experience. Just stay warm. Enjoy it. Your muscles are flowing more. Your joints
But then
are.
I do like to
stay
experience
warm.
the snow.
The snow is cool. Once a year, I'll take it.
The snow is cool for about
A day.
20 minutes.
I'd say day. You get a snow day normally.
No, because when we were in Central Park and it was snowing, once
cool.
I've taken the pictures, I had enough. Wait,
No, you're just cold.
now I'm cold. I've sent everybody the
I mean,
pictures.
I think
It's done.
well, I can't imagine living where you do. I'm going to have to, because without further ado, here are 5 states with way colder winters than Britain.
Let's go. Oh, I said Wisconsin.
So I can
No.
tell you from experience
No.
that Wisconsin
Go
is
on.
bloody freezing. We went there for our anniversary, which just happens to be Valentine's Day. Don't ask.
Cold.
And of course,
Cute,
Valentine's
but
Day is
cold.
during one of the coldest periods in the year in
coming up.
general. So going up to Milwaukee at that time of year, not the best idea. We'd never been, so we just wanted to check it out for the first time, and we're glad we did. But we've been advised to go again in the summer to get the real experience, because it's just that freezing. I mean, you know, looking at those same metrics that we looked at for Scotland earlier on during that 1981 to 2010 period, when you're talking about average lows and you add up the 5 most populous cities in Wisconsin and then take the average of that, you're looking at about 18.7 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow,
That's minus
minus 7
7.4
average.
degrees C. Now, the staggering
Not
thing
good.
about that is that the most populous cities in Wisconsin are kind of more geared toward the south of the state rather than the north, where it's even colder. So the entire state average would be colder even than that. Now, it was quite hard to get a lot of the sort of just statewide averages in general. So for this very video, what I've done is taken the 5 most populous cities in the states in question and taken that same
That makes
average.
sense.
Nonetheless, people far smarter than me figured out that these 5 are the 5 coldest states in total. And Wisconsin, like some of the other states on this list, suffers the cold air from Canada. And because of that, you get state records like minus 55 degrees Fahrenheit. That's just awful. If you went out in that temperature, I'm
48.
fairly certain your head would fall off. And that was in 1996. So there are people watching this that
See what makes you laugh is you're trying to further this character, and I didn't notice you doing it. So she nudged me to be like, quickly look at me. I'm firming it. Minus 30. I swear he said the coldest one was minus 33 though.
Bikini weather.
Oh, was minus 33 his state? Indiana?
Yeah.
It must have been, because that is ridiculous.
Bikini weather.
But minus 27 is cold, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd hate that, wouldn't
Get
you?
a little tan.
Wouldn't you just hate it though?
I wouldn't go.
Oh, just way too cold.
Sorry, but I can't go to Wisconsin ever.
No, we got to go a couple days in the summer, get the cheese.
What's their summer though? If that's minus 48 is the winter, what's the summer? Minus 25.
Yeah,
something?
but like you said, it's climatised, it'll feel red hot. Ah, caught you
Not
out.
for us if we're coming from England.
If we spend 2 weeks there, well.
Not after 2 weeks.
remember
This
that.
kid.
So if you do, let me know in the comments down below if you lived in Sawyer County 24 years ago and how you kept your head on Statistically, Wisconsin does have the 5th coldest winters in the entire nation. And I'm glad it did, because I wasn't able to include it on my list of snowiest states, much to the chagrin of people that live in Wisconsin. The same can't be said of our next entry.
Maine. Okay.
You've got to hand it to the state of
Right,
Maine.
isn't it?
One of the snowiest places in the United States and one of the coldest. It made the top 5 in both lists, and it just happens that I've been there twice. One for each weather type, I suppose, although I should say I have not had the misfortune of being there in winter. But just how cold can it get? Well, its average low temperatures just about beat Wisconsin. Once again, as with all of the states on this list, I did take the most populous cities in the state of Maine, just because those are the places that British people, or any people, are more likely to move to within that state. Again, if you want an idea of what hell sounds like, then just imagine that these are actually wild underestimates for the entire state. And in the case of Maine, its 5 most populous cities averaged a low temperature of about 17.6 degrees Fahrenheit during the winter months.
Yeah,
minus
screw
8
that.
degrees
Still
C.
bad.
Now we're getting somewhere pretty treacherous. These are averages, all right? These aren't extremes. And that's just in the likes of Portland, Augusta, Bangor, right? If you were to move far upstate, then your head, at the very least, would start to wobble or just freeze still. But funnily enough, while the average winter temperatures in Maine just about beat Wisconsin, its lowest all-time recorded temperature did not. In fact, Aroostook County yielded a very pathetic minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit. That's minus 45.6 degrees C.
I'm surprised you can even live in that.
I suppose you just don't leave the house.
But the
You can't
next
do,
one,
can
as
you?
is customary with these types of lists, blows that record completely out of the ice.
Minnesota. Okay, makes
It may
sense
not
again.
surprise you to
Top
learn
one.
that the state of Minnesota has a particularly high concentration of Scandinavian ancestry. And that's, Scandinavian people would love Minnesota, wouldn't they? I mean, most Scandinavians were probably born in the snow, is my understanding. So they're fine with it. And they drink copious amounts of coffee, and they're good. They're good. For the rest of us, this one's sort of taking the cake a little bit. But I am glad it's on the list for the very reason I was glad Wisconsin's on the list, because it didn't quite enter the list of snowiest states in America, which is balmy, because it is a snowy state, just like Wisconsin. But its impressive climatic feature is just how bloody cold it is. And there are probably people watching at home going, "Oh,
Let's know in the comments. Is the reason it's not one of the snow states? It might just be a coincidence that it's not, because it's too cold for snow a lot of the time.
You'd think that though about like the minus 48. That's got to be way too cold for
Yeah,
snow,
because
right?
Maine's freezing as well, but maybe the average is colder. Maybe
I
that's
think
why, or maybe it's just geography.
Jersey, I don't know if it's the same as England. It probably is the same. I think it's got to be about 2 or 3.
Yeah, it's
Even 2 degrees might be.
I think 0 degrees is okay for.
No, I think that's
snow.
too cold. For
Is it?
Jersey, I think it's too cold.
It's the same everywhere.
No, it's not.
The temperature of snow is the same everywhere, I'm pretty sure, because it's all to do with just because it's water droplets in a
No,
cloud.
in Jersey, I'm pretty sure it's 3 degrees.
3.
Yeah, it's always snowed at 3
You've gone
degrees.
from 1 to 3.
Yeah, but it's always
It
snowed
might
at 3
be.
degrees.
I think it's 0.
No.
Maybe 0 is too cold. Let us know in the comments. And please, I don't want to be stupid. Please let us know. It's the same everywhere, I'm pretty sure. Because it's all just to do with the
No,
temperature.
my
up
snow
there.
is different to California snow.
I never said it was the same snow as of the temperature to get it. Let us know in the comments, guys.
Oh, you're including wind chill in this. No, I'm not. These stats are actually before wind chill.
Oh,
as
without
well.
wind
Didn't
chill.
mention that, did I? Minnesota's
Wind chill's a
average
big
low
one.
temperature, and again, this is just in the most populated cities, was 11.9 degrees Fahrenheit. That is minus 10 degrees
Average
C.
minus 10.
Woefully horrendous. And that does not include Duluth or, other places up in the north of the state. I suspect northern Minnesotans turn into T-1000 after he falls in the liquid nitrogen. They walk out the house, freeze over, try and walk a bit, and then their legs just crumble. You'd literally have to take
heard
with you
someone
one
laughing
of those
background
outdoor
then.
heaters
That's
to
his
the
wife,
final
yeah.
train stations in Chicago just to survive. You might even have to press it against you. Don't do that. This isn't. I'm not giving advice to anybody that's going out in winter. Anyway,
Don't go out
after
at
getting a
minus
brain
10.
freeze
Stay in.
just now, I'm going to go back to the facts. And the facts are that the lowest recorded temperature in Minnesota ever was minus 60
minus
degrees Fahrenheit.
50.
Again, that's minus
That's not
51
wind chill,
degrees Celsius.
too cold.
It surely doesn't get any colder than that. In the world, much less the United States, it does.
North Dakota.
I've never
Okay.
experienced a North Dakota
top
winter.
state,
And
but
looking
Canada-
at some of the
Canada
facts,
border, isn't it?
I think pretty much just Canada. It
Most
makes
of them
sense,
are
doesn't it? Because
Canada border.
Canada's obviously freezing as well.
I reckon number 1's going to be Alaska, though.
It probably is. It would make sense, wouldn't it?
What did I
Never
say
will.
up front?
You
Once
said New
again-
York, so there's a chance Absolutely
I've messed
messed
that
it up.
one up.
I got Wisconsin in there though.
And North Dakota is a very, very snowy state. Don't get me wrong, it just didn't make the list of snowiest states in the United States. But it certainly makes this list. It is the second coldest pound-for-pound state in the nation. Now, granted, I did build it up to suggest that it absolutely demolished the record of Minnesota, but in fact, they're tied. Minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit is also the record for North Dakota, but where it does beat Minnesota and every other entry on this list, including our final entry, its top 5 most populated cities averaged a low temperature of 8.3 degrees Fahrenheit.
Average. I can't get it. That's mental.
So let's put that into context now that we've delved deep into the snow, into the list. Words don't mean anything anymore. 8.3 degrees Fahrenheit is 24 degrees colder than Scotland's average.
That's mental.
Scotland being the coldest country in the United Kingdom. And these are averages. This is mental. Someone needs to check North Dakota just to see if microbes are still thriving.
People are alive.
If you know anybody that lives in North Dakota, call for help. I do have it penciled in, though, to visit there at some point, and that point being probably in the middle of a summer. I'd be very interested to know if the entire state by then is just one big pool of water. So, good summer swim. Bring my shorts. Sounds good. And as the temperature continues to drop throughout, so does our next entry. So our next entry is about to drop, is what I meant.
It
probably comes as no surprise that Alaska made it to number 1.
That's what you got to wear.
It probably does come as a surprise that I'm dressed like a bounty hunter. Just bear with me on this and we will get through it. Alaska is bloody cold, but of course it is. It's much more northern than the rest of the United States. It's also more western and eastern, fun fact. But all that aside, if you take some of its most populous cities, so Anchorage, Fairbanks, Juneau and the like, take the average of their lowest winter temperatures, you get a whopping 14.5 degrees Fahrenheit. That's actually not.
I was going to say, that's lower, isn't it?
Because a lot of their most populated cities are very much in the southern portion of Alaska. And Alaska is a huge state. Yeah. So this now, I'm starting to see why using popular cities is bad for data. And I shouldn't have done that. It specifically doesn't work for Alaska just because of its sheer size and the fact that in the northern portion, it gets just astronomically cold. So chances are, if you are going to move to Alaska, it probably will be one of the big cities and you'll probably be fine. Unless that city is Fairbanks, which, and I had to reread this a few times, its average low temperature in that same exact time wasn't just below 0 on the Celsius scale. It was minus 11.25 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm never going to Fairbanks, Alaska. Alaska's cold.
I'm never either.
Is it top of the pile when we're talking about average low temperatures during winter? But its coldest ever temperature would make Mr. Freeze cry horrible frozen tears, and he was played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. The coldest temperature recorded in the state of Alaska, and indeed the United States of America, was more like something you'd see on Pluto. It was minus 80 degrees Fahrenheit, minus 62 degrees Celsius.
That's ridiculous.
I overdid it for this video. I overdressed for the comedy factor. But the truth is,
underdressed.
I'd probably die in that temperature if I went out in just this for, an hour. That could be an exaggeration. I've got nothing to check it against because I've never known. No one's known temperatures like that except maybe, 4 people from the early 1970s. If you're watching, let me. It's very unlikely. That's it for this episode. A bonus mention for South Dakota and Michigan and, Montana. They didn't quite make the cut, but they weren't far away. And in Montana's case, it once recorded minus 70 degrees. So don't move there. As ever, let me know your...
Where did that come from? I didn't expect that one. Freezing.
I can't go in the winter.
I know we made some jokes between it, but it's way hot, way colder in the UK,
I
isn't
can't
it?
go. I can't go in the winter. I don't think I could survive.
We just got to go southern in the winter.
Yeah.
Northern in the summer.
Yeah.
Let us know if you live in these states. Let us know how you feel with the cold and how bad it actually is. Interesting because I feel like you can't live in a lot of them temperatures.
No.
It's ridiculous. Smash that like button, guys. Smash the subscribe button. What's for you?
Have a fantastic day.
And we'll see you legends in the next one. Peace.